Bracken's World was, I think, the turning point for sophistication in television series. I think it was the forerunner of like L.A. Law that goes into Boston Legal and on and on and on. It took place in a studio where you used the studio for what was out there, the back lot, what was trucks and transportation and props all over the place. The person got to go inside of the studio, and we had to be reminded every once in a while not to clear out the background because all those things belong there. And it had to do with the studio head, the workings of a studio, and the making of a starlet, and who already had a star, the agent and the mother, the whole workings of the studio. It turned all of the writers in television onto a new scope to write about. It just made it more sophisticated because the audience, by that time, was so used to seeing television. It needed a change, but to be on the inside of what they would assume is the business, they were. And Stan Rubin was the producer of that. Just his wife, Kathleen, and I had been under contract together at Universal. Again, repeats itself, that small degree of separation. And I played the mother of the starlet. Linda Harrison was the young girl playing that, and who at that time was also the girlfriend of Richard Zanuck. That helped a great deal. And Elizabeth Allen played one of the executives, the right hand to the producer, Peter Haskell, played the young, the boy, the producer boy. He was it. And then we had Eleanor Parker played the female head next to Bracken. Bracken was never shown. Bracken was always talked about. You were always threatened with what Bracken would do and so on and so forth. Bob Colbert came in as an assistant to the studio head. Bob Colbert later on became Mr. Brooks in The Young and the Restless. Again, that involvement, that pot that's all mixed with actors, and you pull us out one and two at a time, and we've all done things together. And even Bob mentioned that he felt that he was in a more sophisticated state. He was talking more intelligently to an audience. We all did. And unfortunately, at that time, the budget was so high because you had such a big cast and an expensive cast, so that the studios, the network, NBC, would only pick it up 2 and 3 at a time. And at that time, you had to have, if you pick a show up, say, for 6, if you go over budget on one, you could amortize it and make it up on the next one. You could make so that by the end of 6, everything works itself out and it makes money for the producers or for the studio. But they would only pick it up 2 or 3 at a time because of its horrible, expensive budget, which I think was maybe $275,000 today. Please, for $275,000, you can't even open your front door. But it was a lot of money at that time. It was probably maybe $300,000. And Stan said, I think we did, 9 of them. I know as the mother of the starlet, they decided to make me her agent, which was marvelous because I was in everybody's business. And again, you had a slight black hat fighting the white hats. Or maybe they were the black hats and I was the white hat. That's the way I like to think of it. Back to the Westerns again. And Stan said they must pick us up at least 4 shows at a time or he would pull it. And it was his show. And they said, well, we're not going to do that. He said, then fine. You don't have Bracken's World. And we were all devastated. But I met so many people. MASH, the movie was being made at that time. At 20th, this is all being done at 20th Century Fox. And it was such an exciting moment in the history of television to see something propels it forward, and you're a part of it. You know that those are nice, lovely memories to have. I have always been somehow what we call on the ass end of something and the beginning of something else. I've never been the top peak of that and the top peak of this, except at this point, top peak, which was my destiny in life. I'm sure it was what I planned to do and that sort of thing. Totally different, and I thank God that destiny stepped in and shot my left foot off and made me stand still for a moment, so I could enjoy all of the very delicious things that have happened to me during my career.